what we like or recommend is working backwards and looking at win rates and looking
Okay.
at all the way from closed won, closed lost deals and saying, what's our win rate look like? What is the deal velocity and what's the deal size that we're typically getting? And from there, then you can go to opportunity conversion rates, meeting booked rates, all the way to the top of the funnel. Here's a sign, a leading indicator of this. Typically, what people do is they'll reach out, or they used to do this anyway, reach out to a lot of companies and figure out the small group of companies that actually care about solving that particular problem. That's the number one sign that your ICP is not right. Because what you're doing is getting your sales team, your outbound team typically to do the hard work of figuring out your ICP on the fly. Knock
Mhm.
on 100 doors and ask, do you want a vacuum cleaner? Well, wouldn't it be
Right.
nice if you knew the people who already had a vacuum cleaner?
Right.
Or even better, people who had a dirty house and didn't have a vacuum cleaner. And that's the ICP. Right? That right there is the ICP. So if you find yourself knocking on a lot of doors and you're converting a very small percentage at the very top of the funnel, that means you may not have a sharply defined ICP. That's symptom number
Understood.
one,
Got it. Okay.
right? And then symptom number two and three would be velocity, which is ultimately the faster a deal moves, the better fit there is between need and solution from a deal customer perspective. So if you find your deals sort of trundling along slowly and dying on the vine, that might be because you are about 30% right in your ICP. They care about the problem, kinda, but you
Mhm.
don't have it finely tuned where they care about it right now. It's not one of the top three things that they care about. So that's symptom number two. And then symptom number three is a wide variation in win rates or deal sizes. Also, where you're closing big deals in some cases and tiny deals in other cases, and the company profile is not that different, it means you're missing a variable somewhere
Uh,
of people who care about it more than others. I think those three metrics are a pretty good place to start.
Perfect. That's awesome. I think that's very crisp for people to look at. I have two follow-up questions. The second thing that you mentioned about, like the deal slowing down or like it's
Yeah,
coming up to the funnel, but it's not it's dying on the vine. I just want to distinguish that it could also be a problem with the sales process itself, not only
no
the
doubt,
ICP. Right. Yeah.
no doubt.
So
Yeah,
yeah, if
yeah,
you're facing that and you have to look at, is it my sales
totally.
process? Because I just went through this, right? I just changed my demo and I posted it on LinkedIn earlier. Basically about I changed the demo to look at Docket's data itself instead of Slack's data. I made a bunch of changes in my demo and immediately I saw a big boost from first demo to second demo. So it could be ICP or your sales process that you want to go look at.
Totally.
So that's awesome. Um, Okay, so that is the
This is,
common
what's
thing.
interesting is that point is what makes go to market always so fascinating to work on because it's always a combination of an art and a science. It's never the interpretation part is why you have to be curious at
Mhm.
all times and look at a bunch of different things all the
Yeah.
time.
So I know you mostly work with companies that are more in a stable situation where they can look at win rates, they can look at deal cycles, deal
Yeah,
sizes, all of that. But a lot of our listeners are also startups. So if
sure.
I'm a startup trying to get to my, either 0 to 1 or 1 to 5, whatever my phase is,
Yeah,
what are the KPIs that I can look for to
love it.
see whether I have an ICP or not?
Love it. So you should think about this as it's a scientific experiment at this point. What you're really saying is, look, we don't know what great is. We don't know what our bullseye is, but let's start by defining some cohorts that we can test carefully and properly. And a big challenge that most startups face is because they're throwing a lot of things at the wall to see what sticks. Then
Right.
it's very hard to figure out what's actually working at the end of it. And you can't separate randomness from a pattern that's coming up. So a good thing to do is to say, we don't know what our ICP is, but can we at least work through what it could be? And based on that, then can we test maybe 2 or 3 variations at a time in a given quarter? And it could be variations based on use cases, based on industry, based on geography, based on company size, some big variables that you can start with. And then maybe next quarter you can say automotive, making this up. Automotive seems like we're getting a pretty good hit rate. Can we now break that down further into something else? Or it could be a use case. It could be like compliance. is the use case that seems to be landing for us. Can we now look at that and add the vertical angle to it for compliance and see what the breakdown looks like? So some combination of those things. And the metric you want to look at is easy. Are you getting that first call? You talked us through it. If you don't get the first call, it's not working, right? That's the best leading indicator. If you're getting the first call and then you're getting a demo, great. If you're not getting the demo, all right, something's not working. Let's go back. So it's really step by step, seeing if you're getting the conversions you need and if the feedback is interesting and important too. For example, you changed up the demo because in your demo delivery, you were probably picking up a lack of engagement or a lack of feedback or a lack of something, and you diagnose that problem. So in your journey, always keep an eye out for those signs, which is when we're reaching out, are we just getting crickets or are we getting pushback? When we make that first call, are we getting engagement or are we just getting blank looks? And then you can make tweaks on the basis of it. And then eventually you'll have deals, etc., to work out too.
Makes sense. That's super actionable. Taking a slight side turn, right? I'm sure you are also seeing and you're probably playing this game. AI is playing like a really big role in GTM right now. So the question is, how is AI, in your opinion, evolving and impacting the whole GTM now and in the coming years?